Morning.
How are you?
I'm very good. Oh, my poster just fell down. Excellent stuff. Oh, that's brilliant. Anyway.
That's because it's been curled up for ages. They never get flat, do they? They don't get flat for ages.
No. Anyway, I found my Selling Savvy posters this week. And now it's fallen down. It's on the floor.
Never mind.
Next to my lawnmower, which is also in my office.
So professional. Love it.
Very professional. Yeah.
Morning. Hi, Lynette. Lovely to have you on, and Teresa. Morning, Amanda.
Morning. I met with Lynette yesterday. It was really nice.
I know. So nice to meet you in person.
It was really nice to meet you in person.
Yeah. Oh, good. Well, happy Friday. And you're off camping this afternoon?
Yes. Yeah. Totally under control.
We're totally in control, and it's going to be raining, so wonderful weekend ready.
Yeah.
This morning, this is a really interesting topic, I think, that keeps changing and definitely keeps us on our toes. Talking about LinkedIn and how it's been great over the last year and flooded with content and relationship building and loads of good stuff, and now they've changed all the algorithms, which is so great for us.
It's good. It keeps us busy. I have to say though, I never used to really use LinkedIn probably until about a year ago, and it's just been I love it, and I don't really know why. Well, no, I do know why. It's because I've just made so many good connections with people. And for example, when I met with Lynette yesterday, I felt like I already knew her because we've just been chatting on LinkedIn all the time and seen her post. And she was talking about something she did last week. And I was like, oh yeah, I saw that. And, I found a few clients through there as well this year. It's really worth it if you use it regularly.
So I totally agree.
Yeah.
I totally agree. I think certainly my lockdown, I'll probably be presumptuous and say our lockdown would have been very different without LinkedIn. It's been quite a part of my journey, I feel like, over the last year, 12 to 18 months. And it's certainly, I know what you mean about how you kind of feel like you know people just by seeing their posts and kind of what they're about. And that's essentially something that we all want to do ourselves. We want people to learn more about us by doing that. So really interesting. Let's say morning to hi Delphine, hi Helen, morning Diana, nice to have you here. Hi Judith.
Morning.
Hello Matt, nice to see you. Caroline, hi. Becky, hello. Amanda's saying, are you taking the lawnmower with you?
Absolutely not.
There'll be no jobs done this weekend. Oh, Judith, completely agree. It's been a game-changing part of my journey. Yeah, and I feel like that it's been so, like I say, flooded with content and people on LinkedIn over the last year. Lots of people have described it as being noisy, which I totally get. It can be a bit overwhelming and loud recently. But hasn't it changed so much over the last month or so since people have been going back to work, getting back out there?
Well, yeah, it's nice to see everyone posting really nice things on there.
And less of it, I think, as well. There's been less noise. It's been a bit more, I don't know, it's just been a bit more easier to handle, I feel like.
Yeah. I do feel like with LinkedIn, if you just, sometimes it can get a bit much, just have a day off and just kind of go, okay, I can't deal with LinkedIn. I have that after government announcements. There's so much going on, people with opinions and going, rah, rah, and I can't deal with that. So I just go off LinkedIn for a little bit, come back the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I've had a bit of time off of LinkedIn recently, having been so on it over the last 12 months. Oh, Carol. Morning, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Carol said it's more purposeful. Yeah, that's really true. Because it kind of got a little bit over lockdown, like people felt like they had to post for the sake of it, which we are going to discuss shortly.
Yes.
We have loads here because they've changed. We're going to start talking a little bit about algorithms. Now, Fem and I are not super nerdy geeks, and
what? Yes, we are.
Well, Well, I mean, I don't know how to write an algorithm. That's what I mean. But we know the results of them. So, and I have seen it said quite a lot before that by LinkedIn influencers, if you can call them that, that you don't need to learn about the algorithms, because if you've got great content, then, you know, it doesn't matter because people will still like and share it and everything. But actually, it is really interesting to learn how it works, because there are a couple of things that you can do that will get you that traction kind of automatically. Yeah. So they've changed them. They've upgraded, let's say, quite a few things on LinkedIn. They don't publish the exact algorithms, but we have found some documentation that goes through the kind of the results of it and what's preferred and what's not preferred. I know, Fem, you were reading about that, weren't you?
Yeah, it's really interesting because they have actually posted a little bit of an infographic that kind of takes you on the journey of what your post does, and it kind of goes. Initially, they just go, they just look at the content and what you've written or how long it is and what's attached to it and who you've tagged and things like that, and they go, what should I do with that? And they can immediately dismiss it, which is quite bad. And it's so funny, sometimes you post something and you said, and you have no interaction with it at all, and the next day you post something and then there's loads, and you're like, what happened? But it could just be that LinkedIn said, actually not interested in this, which is fair enough. And most of mine were to do with having virtual meetings, which they probably thought, well, we've heard all of that before, so we're not going to post that. Go away, Zoom. So and then they immediately look at the interaction, and this is why it's so important what at the time you post. But interestingly, I did a LinkedIn post late last night, and it's doing okay at the moment. So that's interesting. But that could be because I wrote a massive long essay to go with it. Yeah, and then they look at the interaction. So it's about, are you getting comments from people? Are you getting likes? Although the order really is comments, likes, shares. So we have to remember that. And then it said on this article that it actually goes to a LinkedIn person, and if it's a really good one, and they look at it and they really like it, they push it out even more. And I didn't know that. That's really interesting that there's an actual person behind it. I thought
that is interesting.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure whether I should believe it, because I didn't think, I mean, there must be so many posts, so I think it's only for the ones that do really well.
So I mean, we're skipping ahead a little bit, because we were going to start with profile first, weren't we?
You mentioned algorithms.
I know I did. I screwed it all up. But we can carry on because it's interesting. Yeah. I think you're right. Well, obviously you're right, because that's what the infographic said. But it's an interesting point to pick up on the length of the post, and that is something that, because today we're talking about the kind of differences of what has been happening and what's happening now. LinkedIn's really noticing how long your posts are, because it's taking a longer post as being more insightful, more interesting for more people to read. And actually, interestingly, Fem, you were saying you wrote quite an essay yesterday along with your post, and even though it was later in the day or in the evening, it still did quite well, because LinkedIn thought, gosh, she's written loads, this must be juicy stuff.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that until about last week, and I know some people do really long posts, and they have done for a while, but I'd never known that was something that LinkedIn look at. But it's definitely a new thing that they've said. And so, like what we talked about this morning, LinkedIn is not all about kind of finding jobs anymore and making contacts. It's really about knowledge sharing. I think that's the kind of move that they've made this year. Because they've probably noticed that people are interested in that, so they think that they can get more engagement, or people. What it said in one of the articles is LinkedIn wants you to spend as much time on LinkedIn as possible. So for them, if you're reading a really long post and then you're engaging, that's much better than just, oh, that's a nice picture, I'll like that. And for that for that same reason, they want you to post articles and videos that are native, as they call it. So if you have a video on YouTube, instead of posting the link, you should download it, then post it on LinkedIn, because they want you to stay on LinkedIn and not go to YouTube.
Yeah.
So if you're ever thinking, sorry.
No, it's fine. No, I was going to say, this is all. This is across all social medias, isn't it? They want you to stay on the page. And with regards to the longer posts and staying on and reading them, there is now such a thing called dwell time, where you can, where LinkedIn is measuring how long people stay on your post and digest that information. So obviously, the longer the post, the longer they take to read it, but also because people are kind of absorbing it and thinking about it, and it's becoming a bit of a kind of hot topic, I guess. So it does take into account that dwell time, because we've always had the golden hour, haven't we? Where an hour after you post, the more content, the more comments you get, the more LinkedIn thinks, oh, this is great, let's push it out. But now I've
seen it, it's 15 minutes now. 15 minutes for initial post. If you get a comment, then you're good. So you have to get it in really quick, and then you have to reply quickly. You have to reply quickly as well.
It's all a speed game, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's have
just
a look.
Spend all day on LinkedIn, basically.
Yeah. Wow, Amanda. Wow, an actual person checking the post. What a job. Yeah, I know. Lynette, I'm always writing essays. We love your essays, Lynette. So good. Carol, true about the real LinkedIn person. They even contact you if something starts to take off. That's amazing.
Has that happened to you, Carol? Has that happened? I would like to know. Oh, that's going to be my goal in life. It's going to be being contacted by LinkedIn.
By LinkedIn. That is very sad. Kat says, do we know what's considered a long post? That's really interesting. We do not have a word count. No.
No.
We might be able to find one.
But yesterday when I was typing my essay, I noticed my post could be longer. So I think they've extended the maximum amount of words as well. Because I just kept going, and I thought, oh, this is good.
People are so interested in me. Yeah, interesting. So long posts do well. We've got 15-minute golden 15 minutes now, and we've talked a bit about dwell time. The other so we've always advised our clients and people that we work with that you've got to comment, you've got to engage, encourage comments on your post, and quickly, because of the golden time. However, LinkedIn is now measuring the quality of those comments. So before it was all about, yes, there's been comments on it, that's tick that box, they've replied to it, we're going to push it out more. Now it's about the length of the comments. So they're really honing in on content creators and LinkedIn being a standalone website where people go for expertise and advice. So no longer can we say, oh my god, I love this, and that's it. We have to give some sort of brainy, some sort of brainy response or interesting response. And alongside those lines as well, because we always used to, in the team and in, within the workshops that we run, we had people kind of industry professionals that would be like, oh, I'll comment on your post or tag me and I'll reply. Actually now, if you tag somebody in the comments and they don't reply, you get penalized for it. So and it used to be that you tag like 15 people and then you'd be like, oh, there's loads of people tagged. LinkedIn loves tagging and LinkedIn loves comments, so there we are. Whereas now if they don't reply, LinkedIn's like, oh, they're ghosting you, you're rubbish.
But yeah, and it's the same with on your actual post. So if you tag people on your actual post and not just in the comments, if they don't reply within, I think, 2 hours or something like that, then it's going downhill as well, which is interesting. So sometimes I tag people, or actually my post yesterday, I tagged people, and then some of them just liked my post. I'm like, what? You need to comment. But yeah, I can't really say that.
What are you doing, you joker?
Yeah. Don't you know?
Yeah. Don't you know about the algorithms? The other thing to mention is link in comments. Please find link in the comments. Now, this has been a long-standing thing that we've advised clients to do, and Fem's already touched on the fact that LinkedIn wants to keep people on their website to advertise at them. However, they've busted us. They've got us with these linking comments, and now they check the comments, and it's just the same if you put it in the post or the comments. However, it has been tested that if you post relatively regular, so say you post every day or 5 days a week, then if you put a link in your post in one of those 5 days, then you won't be penalised for it, because at least you're not doing it every day. So as long as you, so the answer is really mixing stuff up between long form text, images, videos, and occasional links, and consistency is always going to be key. And we kind of have always known that about LinkedIn, haven't we? But again, it's been experimented on, and actually, even if you sometimes send out a bit of a rubbish post, LinkedIn, and then the next day or a couple of days later you put a really good post out, LinkedIn will give you kudos because you've been regular at posting, even though your post a few days ago was a bit crap.
And I spoke about this before with, it was a hotel, it's one of our favorites, who do really good LinkedIn posts, and then occasionally they have to put posts about updates about the hotel, or they're doing this, or recruitment, whatever, and you might not get the engagement, but people still see it, and they also they do then know about it, so it's still in the back of their head. So you might not get the likes because it's a really boring post, and people just don't like or comment on really boring posts, but they still see it, and they still know what you're doing, and that you're an expert or whatever it is. So that's good.
Caroline's got a really good question. So will it now make any difference whether the link is in the post or the comments? So technically no for LinkedIn. However, technically no, as long as you're posting consistently. Not necessarily every day, but 3 times a week, but every week. However, I would say, and this is not an algorithms thing, this is just a looking at your feed thing. If you put a link to a YouTube video, for instance, in your post, the video will come up. So when you're scrolling, you're more likely to engage in it than if you just see something that says link in comments. So algorithms wise, no, but actually if you put it in your post, as long as you're diluting it with posts that haven't got links in, then I imagine people would engage with it more, which would then boost it.
I've read that as well.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that we mentioned this morning is you can't just be a post pusher. You can't just be posting all the time. You have to engage on other people's posts, and so now it has to be lengthy. And there's a formula which you can keep in mind. So for every post that you do, you comment. So if it was the 80-20 rule. So if you post 5 times a week, which we're saying is the optimal amount, then you also, for every post, comment on 5 other people's posts or engage with them, and that will kind of make the algorithm show them your post more, if that makes sense. That didn't come out right, but that's how it works.
But you get the gist. And I think on the side note to that, it did say that if you comment on those 5 people's posts before you put your post out, LinkedIn will be like, oh, this person's so active, and look at all these people. And then when you put your post out, it'll show that post to those people and more. 80-20 literally is relevant for everything in life, I think, isn't it? So sorry, I'm just reading these comments. Caroline, it makes it a lot easier then. Also, if someone shares your post, the comment with the link doesn't show, which is annoying, isn't it? Absolutely. Becky saying 80-20 rules fab. I say this also for non-promotional and promotional content on social media.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, and that is kind of the same as what you already said. You have to mix it up. So you have to, sometimes you do a bit promotional, sometimes you do a bit personal, sometimes informative. But I guess we're leaning towards informative at the moment.
Yeah.
So we had a question from Judith before we even started. And we've only got 10 minutes, so I think we need to move on to profiles, probably.
Yeah. So should we start with your video?
Yeah. So, actually, I'm going to start with the story about our about your name. So on your profile, next to your name, you now have a little record button where you can record your name so people know how to pronounce it, which I think is really good because sometimes it's really hard. So you just don't know.
I bet people pronounce your name wrong all the time.
Yeah. So when we went on the Selling Savvy team meeting last week, we were looking at LinkedIn and playing each other's voice notes. And I think it was Becky who had a really nice one. She was like, "Hi, I'm Becky, blah, blah, blah." And you have 10 seconds. You can actually...
You can say quite a lot. And she was saying, "Thank you for visiting my LinkedIn profile. And I'm an expert in the hospitality industry. And this is what I do." It was really lovely. Bearing in mind this conversation was happening about midnight with a bottle of wine, so we were like applauding Becky with how wonderful her LinkedIn voice note thing is.
Yeah, and then we got to Kate and mine, and mine just says Femke, and Kate just went, "Kate, right." So yes, so actually you have 10 seconds to say something really nice. I've changed mine now to say "I am Femke," but usually people call me Fem, which I thought was quite nice. So if people do want to speak to me, they can call me Fem. So I changed it. And then there's also the new video, which is on your profile picture, and you can create a 30-second video about you, or what you do, or whatever you want. And I was thinking about this week. I've done mine. It just basically says, "I'm part of Helmers Briscoe, I'm part of Selling Savvy, I really love the event industry, blah, blah, blah." But you could also do something really creative there in 30 seconds. So my husband works in TV, and I thought you could put a 30-second show reel on there if you wanted to, or do something really creative. Can't think of anything else now. But you could even, if you have a venue, for example, you could do a little bit of a video of the front of the venue or something really nice. Yeah,
absolutely. And also make it personal. Say this is, you could do it like on your phone with you there talking about it. Yeah, I think I really like those videos. I need to do mine at some point. And the little voice note is, I'm a big fan of voice note anyway, but it builds so much rapport by seeing and hearing people. So this is like probably my favorite change to LinkedIn, and what it's done, and videos, through the roof. And actually, if you just go on somebody's profile who has it, it just starts playing automatically. So it really hones you in on it. It's clever.
It is very clever.
Yeah. So Carol is saying, on shares, one of my LinkedIn new faves that it promotes is when you share someone else's post with your original comments to introduce it. One of my recent shares of another post got over 6k views. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, you can. Sharing is possible, and it's getting better, I think, but you have to be quite clever about it. And also, I'm not sure if this is still the case, but you should credit the person who originally posted it. And it's even better when they then post. So if someone shares my post, I will always say, "Thank you for sharing," because then I know that they will get the traction. But it just depends. Sometimes a lot of people share your post and like, "But can you also please comment on my post?" So if you ever want to share something, comment first and also share, and so that the post gets traction from the original person who posted it, if that makes sense.
And I think as well, it's like the link in link not in comments, link in the post thing as well. As long as it's interdispersed and diluted by quality content, then that consistency will push the share or the link out. So it's just making sure that not all of your posts are shares or not all of your posts have got links in. It's really interesting. So next, we're going to touch on creator mode in the last 5 minutes, because I know that Judith mentioned it, asked us about it on LinkedIn this morning before we went on. So creator mode is a kind of toggle that you can turn on and off. And essentially at the moment, it's mainly to do with your profile and how your profile is laid out, the kind of structure of it. It's the reason behind it is because LinkedIn has always been the core of it has been for recruitment and trying to get jobs and trying to find jobs, and for employers to find good team members. However, over the last year, it's been really for content, pitching yourselves as experts, having good content on there, and the stats, I don't know them off the top of my head, but the percentage is really high for the number of people that go there to actually find out industry updates or find out information about a certain topic or industry. So creator mode is along the lines of that. So it's kind of designed for people who aren't looking for jobs, but who are looking to pitch themselves as knowing what they're talking about. So we've had a bit of a play with it, haven't we?
Yeah, we did. I was curious, and I think it's interesting because if you have a company page, for example, we have a Selling Savvy page, that is more of what you would say is probably creator mode. You know, you can follow the page. I mean, you can follow a personal page, but it's more about followers than connection. It's about putting content out there that is informative, things like that. And I think if you're, let's say, a one-man band person, or you do a lot of blogs or a lot of really interesting content, creator mode could be really good because people will just follow your page and watch your content, really. But I think it is a thing just to play around with. I know Judith said she wasn't sure if she should do it or not, but you can just turn it on and then you can turn it back off again. So it's not if you're in creator mode for the rest of your life if you turn it on.
Yeah, it's easy to turn on and off. So it encourages people to, instead of connect with you and then you have to accept it, it encourages people to follow you so that you'll come up in their feed and everything, but they won't come up in your feed. So it's a one-way unrequited relationship. But in the interest of kind of prospecting, I guess, from that angle, it's quite nice. We were saying earlier that we often connect with people and then they either don't use LinkedIn that much or they just ignore us. So it's quite a nice way of having people come up on your feed so that you can engage with them, like and comment, even though they haven't sort of decided to be actually connected with you. So essentially, it's mostly about profile. It also gives the opportunity to put hashtags in your profile as well to get searched in different kind of areas. And your posts and about section get kind of swapped around. So that's what I was saying about the structure of the profile. When you go onto when somebody goes onto Fem's profile, for instance, then it'll have the kind of the job title, information about what she does, this short bit, and then it will have activities, and then the about section slightly lower down.
There's a conversation about wine going on, which I can't. And then in between there's some things about LinkedIn. Kat says, LinkedIn suggested for me to go into creator mode. Does that mean it likes my post? Absolutely. I'm going to say yes to that. I have no idea. But I think
766 million LinkedIn users. Like, Kat is so good at what she does. I think it might be a kind of push of their new service, but have a go and see. The other thing we were talking about, I realised that we need to wrap up soon, is that, and that have done some research around, is that although there are algorithms and everything, everybody's kind of vat of connections the mix of it is totally different. So I always get asked, what's the best time to post in the day? And there is set times and there's kind of experiments around it. but we would definitely encourage you to have your own little experiment around lengths of posts, times of days, types of posts, all of that stuff, because we all have different mixes of connections in there. It does tend to change, kind of slightly vary between people.
Yeah, let's break the algorithm. I think that's our second goal. First goal, I want a phone call from LinkedIn. Second goal, I'm going to break it.
Hashtag break the algorithm. I love it. That's great. Judith, that's interesting. I didn't know you could switch it on and off. I still don't really get it, as it's one-sided though, unless you're a super big hitter. Well, you talk about super big hitters actually. LinkedIn have got it sussed that there are some influencers and are and have been promoting people who have less followers and engagement, a little, pushing their posts out more than proper influencers who get thousands and thousands. So it gives us littlies a bit more of a chance, which is nice.
But if you think about the one-sidedness, if you if you look at the number of connections you have already, and how many of what proportion of that do you actually have a two-way conversation with, it's probably quite small, I would say. I'm not going to tell you how many connections I have because Kate says it's not enough.
Oh my God. Thanks for that. Don't you sound awful?
No, you're not awful at all. It was the truth. So yeah, it might be one-sided, but if people are reluctant just to say, okay, I'm going to connect with you, but they might follow you, and then you get a different mix of people as well. So you've got your connections, but then you also have people who follow you who might be slightly different, but they still know that you're there. I think it could work.
Yeah, I can slightly see the logic in it, but Judith, I am also on your camp. I don't quite get how it can work. Maybe I need to try it for a bit. I think it will encourage a different type of person, the type of person who perhaps doesn't want to have loads of connections and be connected with you, the type of people who ignore your connection requests because they kind of feel like they can just follow your content and be in the background. Yeah. But it also really puts huge emphasis on the quality of your content, because if you're not putting good content out there, you will never get the interaction from them. So therefore, you'll never get that two-way relationship. You can't message people either, followers. You could still only have private messages.
They can still comment, and then you can interact with them. And
then that's what I mean.
They will become a connection.
Yeah, that's why it highlights the importance of your content, because they'll only comment if it's really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, we better stop. Yeah. You need to go camping.
I need to go camping.
Oh, thanks everyone for all your questions and everything. It's such a juicy topic. Oh, we do have a LinkedIn challenge that I'm running actually soon. So I'll pop the link to that.
That's a coincidence.
I almost forgot to say it. It's only in a couple of weeks. It is week commencing 19th of July. And it will include all of the kind of usual stuff about how to build relationships, build traction, consultative selling, stuff like that. But it will also be interspersed with their algorithm changes to get the most out of it at the moment. So I'll put the link to that in the comments. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
And oh yeah, Becky, next week, everyone's a salesperson on Savvy Says with Becky and Jeanette. Really cool topic. So how everyone can make sure, or we can encourage all of our team members to make sure they're selling effectively and not scared of the word sales. Speak to you soon, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.